Okay, so we are recording now. So
Hi.
you can welcome my interviewer here, Sophie.
Hello.
And we're just going to have a quick chat about me
You?
and
Yeah.
ask any questions about me and what I used to do or did
Yeah.
or what I do
It's.
now, changes,
I was
everything.
hoping some of the other girls would give some questions, but they didn't. So.
No, they'll probably have them after.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I think I'll add them at the end. But yeah. Well, sort of first off, I guess if we're discussing you, it's about the path that you took in your health and fitness to get where you are and sort of where you started, and has health and fitness always been part of your life, or did you discover that, like more like later on kind of thing? But I guess generally, and even me, I've only started in Feb, so I don't really know the process that you went through.
Well, so I grew up, you'd probably say like in a healthy, like brought up with healthy foods, but I guess that's all subjective. But like I got my sister and my parents, and we ate pretty plainly. We didn't get much takeaway. We were only allowed one glass of soft drink on the weekends. We hardly ever went out to McDonald's. So grew up eating, and like we grew lots of veggies. So I grew up with lots of home cooked meals. And lots, but still like home cooked sweets and desserts, things like that. And often had ice cream. So, and I guess I was quite active when I was young. I used to ride my bike around a lot. At school, we had to do sport. So I did sport in summer and winter. I did hockey and tennis and swimming, but I didn't really like it. And then in year 12, when it was optional to do sport, because you could focus on your studies, I figured, well, I'd ditch sport because I didn't like it. And that was probably like, I wasn't overweight then, but it's probably when after that, a bit of weight started to sneak on just because I wasn't moving around as much. And I also worked at McDonald's. I started there when I was 14, worked there till I was 19. And the year after I finished school, I worked full-time at McDonald's. I took a year off before I started uni. Worked full-time there. And when you were full-time and you got meal breaks, you got free food. So I used to eat that like 5 days a week, which is pretty gross. I used to do lots of early starts. So I do 5:30 a.m. till 2, the open shift. So I'd get breakfast for free usually. So I'd have like hotcakes,
lots of McMuffins,
a coffee with soft serve in it. And what else did I have? And then, so if I got a main meal, I'd usually have McChicken and fries. And yeah, so the weights probably started to creep up then, and I wasn't doing any activity really at all after I finished school. So yeah, and then I moved out of home when I was 21, I think, second year uni, and that's probably when it really started to creep up a bit because I could eat whatever I wanted, and I went a bit crazy because and I don't think mum meant it intentionally, but she was a bit restricting with the foods she kept, no, very little soft drink, no takeaway. So as soon as I could buy all that food myself, I will admit Tina. Oh, hi Tina. I'm just going to mute you so you can listen and write any questions in the chat box.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, moved out of home, could buy any food I wanted, so I'd eat and I moved in with 2 of my friends from school and 2 girlfriends, and so we'd have ice cream out the tub every night, soft drink, finger buns. It was just ridiculous, and didn't do any activity when I was at uni, and I was never I've never been obese, and I think the largest I got apart from being pregnant was about 68. That was probably after uni. I moved to Mount Gambier. So I did play hockey down there, which I liked, but my food was pretty terrible because I lived by myself as well. I lived by myself after I lived with my girlfriends. But yeah, so growing up was kind of healthy in a way, but it was a bit restrictive. But then you're not taught about portion sizes.
No.
And, you know, what's recommended for serving sizes and things at school. So, and then the other thing was my parents, like, I've never seen my mum have an alcoholic drink in my life. My dad doesn't drink a lot, and growing up hardly ever drank. So we never had much alcohol in the house at all. My parents never had a wine after work. And so probably a pretty quite
and I guess when you move from obviously like living at home and and moving away from home and like you said, moving to Mount Gambier, there is such a shift in independence, and you think, oh, like I can do what I want, that sort of thing. So I totally understand. And then obviously you said you were at uni and studying to be a pharmacist.
Pharmacy, so did that for 4 years, which is good. It's stressful. So I lived by myself for I did the first year at home, the second year I lived with my girlfriends, and the third and fourth year I lived on my own, just in Melbourne on Doothie Street, and I lived near Patacake Bakery, so I used to walk down there a lot.
That's right, where I used to live too, Ali.
It's a great place to live, but yes, I used to get vanilla slice there and quiche. And so I did start going to the gym in third year uni when I lived by myself there. I used to go to, when it was Body Workshop on Crossroad.
On the corner there near the...
it's Good Life.
Yeah.
It's like $180 for a year of unlimited. Whatever. But I didn't want to go into the mixed room because I was too scared of the guys. So they had a women's only room. So I used to go into that, but all they had was basically machines. So I just look at the picture on the machine and then work out what to do from that. And I just did the same thing every time I went. And then I used to do cardio. So I used to go on the treadmill for an hour, I reckon, and the bike for 20 minutes, and then do these bikes. So I went for 2 hours at a time. I'd go 3 times a week, and I used to go at 8 o'clock at night because I was a night owl at uni. And do the same thing every time. So I did lose some weight, but then because you're doing the same thing every time, I just got to a point where I think I got to 65 kilos and I couldn't get any lower. And also, like, my nutrition I had no changes at all then because I had no idea what to do. So I remember I used to go to the gym on a Sunday, and afterwards I'd go to Subway and I'd get a foot-long sub with meatballs and 3 cookies, and I'd eat that after going to the gym.
Oh wow! Oh, it's but I know that, like you just said about nutrition, you just didn't know back then. So and obviously you graduated from pharmacy, and when did you start learning about nutrition, like when you were a pharmacist, or did that come?
No, so pharmacy, you learn nothing about that. So I moved to Mount Gambier then for 2.5 years. I lived down there. And then I decided to travel around Australia a bit, do locum work. So I went up to Queensland for a while, to Mackay and Rockhampton, then went over to WA, to Karratha and Esperance. And that's when Warwick came with me to Rocky. So we started going out then. And then once he'd got qualified, he came up with me because we could both get jobs pretty easily around wherever we went. When we were in Karratha, the pharmacy would only give me 38 hours a week, which I didn't like. I liked to work more than that. I was a bit of a workaholic. So I decided to study to be a personal trainer because that had always interested me. So I did it online up there. And I did one module up there, and then I did the next one when I moved to Esperance. So I had to do all these videos and film things and send them in. But the course is really pretty basic. And I think there's only one nutrition chapter to it out of like 26 chapters. It's pretty vague. So I did that, and then we moved back to Adelaide, and my plan was to get a job in the gym, but actually a job came up at the pharmacy I used to work at when I was at uni. So I went back there, and I ended up staying there like 8 years till I left. So and bought into a pharmacy then. So that kind of kept me, well, not trapped, but it's a
Yeah.
bit harder to get out and just leave if you're a partner. So,
Yeah.
and that seemed like a good move at the time, but it wasn't really the best move. They just changed, the pharmacies changed a lot. And then I had like the kids and just realised I didn't really enjoy pharmacy anymore. So decided to leave that. But like when I just started the pharmacy, I met another pharmacist, Deanne, who I actually went to school with, but she was a year above me. And she asked if I wanted to go to a bodybuilding comp. This was 10 years ago now. So I went to that with her, and that was at Norwood Town Hall. And I can just remember these 3 sports models stepped out on stage. So they were the first competitors. And I just looked at them and I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. And, and Deanne knew the lady that had trained them, Amelia. So I spoke to her after and maybe emailed her, and I signed up to do her next round of comps, which was, so that was in April we went, and then so I started like the next week or 2 and did the comps that were in September. So I had a 6-month prep for it, and that's probably where I learnt the most. Like I mean, that was strict. It was a rigid meal plan. I had to eat exactly what she told me to, and lots of exercise, and did that for 20 weeks. So I started at, I think I was 58 kilos when I started, and I was 48 when I stepped on stage. So I lost 10 kilos.
Wow.
But and so I'm 58 now again. But yeah, I was really hungry on those calories. It was very low, especially the last 10 weeks. And because I just bought into the pharmacy, I had to work from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. So I used to get up at 4:30. I do my hour of cardio on the treadmill. I had a treadmill back then, and then I did an hour of weights at a home gym because I got sick of going to Good Life and not getting the equipment. So I bought a home gym. Do that for 2 days.
Had you had ARIA at that point? No, that was pre-kids. Okay. Yeah, I was going to be like, how did you do all of that?
It'd be pretty hard to do with kids.
Yeah.
People do it, but,
and with training for that, was that the most obviously you'd done your PT and stuff, but in terms of the exercise, was that the most you'd been exercising probably ever? Or that was just...
Yeah, no, it would have been.
Yeah.
And probably learned the most about different muscle groups and how to use them. And then the nutrition, was a big learning curve. But it was very not in a good way, because I was told exactly what to eat.
Yeah.
There was no flexibility. Like it was, have 200 grams of broccoli. It wasn't, you can have green beans if you like, or cucumber. It was like broccoli and that's it. So I did it. And then afterwards, I struggled afterwards. Most people do, to be honest, because you are extremely lean. So I was 48 kilos, and everyone tells you how amazing you look, which kind of messes you up, because then you think, oh, what did I look like before?
Yeah.
And of course, you're not going to maintain that, which does mess with your head then when you put it back on. And if you just go back to regular eating, you can put it on pretty quickly.
Yeah. And do you feel guilty when you're like, I've been restricting my food for so long, and then, I feel guilty if I just give myself that treat? Or is that some form of guilt?
I think it's just, you'd end up looking really bloated because your body's not using the salt.
Yeah.
Salt and water and the carbs, and you just stuff. And so I went back on pretty quickly. I still did all the training, not as much cardio, but just started eating. And then, so I did the comps, and then I wanted to do another lot straight away, purely because I wanted to stay like that little, which was ridiculous. And I started doing it again, but then I realized I was just working too much. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep doing it. And it was soon after that, the next year, 2011. And I pulled out of those comps in the end. I didn't want to do them. And that's when I had my mental breakdown, just from working too much. And I had been asking one of the other partners at the pharmacy for less hours. Like I wanted to give away some of my shifts, but he just didn't listen to me, and I should have pushed it. And in the end, I just rang him one weekend and I said, I'm not coming in. I didn't. It was only I only had 3 weeks off in the end. I should have had more.
Yeah.
But and I lost a lot. I lost 5 kilos when that happened.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That was probably the start of when I learned to say no to people that just.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person that just works. Oh, like at work, I used to just do everything that was given to me.
Yeah.
Which can backfire if you.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
so then
keep giving you stuff, and you know, if
and you feel like you, obviously being a partner as well, did you feel like you needed like that? I have to be there because I know that it's going to be run the right way, you know.
Yeah.
Right kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the other partner is just slack, and here's Georgie. Yeah, the other partner was slack, and she'd check her yoga during work.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. It's one of the reasons I wanted to leave, because I was tired of doing everything and fixing everyone else's problems.
Yeah.
So.
And as far as like the pharmacy work, were you in that in comparison to, you know, PT work, were you finding so much more joy in doing like
training? So I only trained a few people. I was just training a few people at home. That's all I did.
Yeah.
I didn't do any work at a gym or anything. I did work at one gym that was in between having Ari and Autumn, and I only worked there for 5 weeks. I didn't really like it, actually. I like doing my own thing. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then so when in that time you'd had, because I've got a question here about your pregnancies in relation to health and fitness as well, as we discussed today on the walk after school. In that time, so had you were still working at the pharmacy when you had Aria?
When I got pregnant with Aria. So and I'd also started after I had my mental breakdown, then I got into dragon boating. So I used to go down to West Lakes, like the Semaphore end. And I used to do that 3 times a week after work. So then after my mental breakdown, I worked 8 till 4, which was a lot better than 8 till 6. And it meant I could do stuff like after work more. So I got into dragon boating, but that was very time consuming because it'd take 45 or 35 minutes to drive down. Then we'd train for an hour, hour and a half, and then drive back. So I'd get home at 9:30. I loved it though. So I got into that, but I really only did that for 1 season before I got pregnant. So I got pregnant with Ari. It took me a while to get pregnant with Ari. It took me about a year. And the reason why I knew was because actually we had a meeting for dragon boating and they had pizza there, and everyone knew me as a healthy girl, and I really wanted a piece of pizza, but I didn't eat it. And I thought, oh, something's wrong. And I just didn't feel well. And I was only 5.5 weeks pregnant. But when I found out,
you just knew your body was something.
I was nauseous. I felt and I couldn't drink coffee. And I love coffee. So and like I had sickness for the whole pregnancy. And I had to tell work at 6 weeks because everyone guessed. I was sitting down. I didn't bring my vegetables to work. I wanted chips to eat. Couldn't have coffee. And they're like, what's wrong with you? So then, I lost weight in the first trimester because I was so sick. Didn't really get medicated properly. I did eventually. But then I kept trying to sort of come off the meds because everyone kept saying, oh, it'll pass soon, but it never passed. So I just stuck with the medicines for the whole pregnancy, which was fine. And so halfway, I didn't even look pregnant. But then I gained weight after that, and I gained quite a bit of weight because I just ate. I used to get the other pharmacist to bring me chips, hot chips from the fish and chip shop for work every day. And then I'd make chocolate ganache at night. So I'd mix cream and chocolate in the microwave and just eat that at night. And drink I used to drink Coke for breakfast as well. So it was like I was a totally different person. So I'd had all these ideas of being a fit PT, and it was all just blown out the window because you don't have any control. So
and then with that you were saying that you couldn't exercise in both
Yeah,
with both pregnancies? You just yeah.
exercise. So I didn't exercise at all.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even really walk like around the block. I just feel
Oh, gosh.
tired and lightheaded.
Yeah.
So I didn't exercise.
Yeah.
It kind of killed me, but it's only 9 months.
Yeah.
So then I had ARIA. I was 8 days late, had to be induced, had a hemorrhage. It wasn't a great experience. I was vomiting through the labour. And had a hemorrhage, but as soon as she was out, I felt so much better. I just felt, like
felt yourself again. Yeah.
And I could eat all the foods again. So I didn't start exercising until I was 6 weeks, like she was 6 weeks old. But I started eating better as soon as she was born. That's because I wanted to. And I gained 20 kilos. So I was a bit apprehensive about losing it because I'd never done it before, didn't know how I got it. So, and started
did you
in my home gym.
Yeah. Sorry, you go. You were saying.
So I started working out at 6 weeks postpartum, just literally body weight squats, lunges. Very light weights. Was incredibly sore because I wasn't used to it. And I did that 3 times a week. And walking. And then there was by the time she was 6 weeks, actually, I was back down to my the weight I was when I fell pregnant.
Oh wow.
I looked totally different, like I couldn't fit in my jeans, just different shape. And I can't remember how long it took to get that off, but I was breastfeeding, which worked well for me because that would just suck the fat out of me. So I got down like 5 kilos less than that when I was breastfeeding. So breastfed ARIA till she was born. An increase. I still stayed exercising 3 times a week. So that was less than I did before I fell pregnant because I was still working out like 5 to 6 days a week then and doing all the dragon boating. So I did less afterwards and my body just seemed to like it better. I think I was doing too much before and probably not enough. Well.
Yeah. Okay. And then so when you had you had Autumn as well when you before you left the pharmacy, or were you?
So I got pregnant with her. No, I was still at the pharmacy. So I was only working 2 days a week when ARIA was a baby and growing up. And then we had some pretty crap times at the pharmacy, actually, with things that were happening. So I had to get a job elsewhere as well. So I'd do some nights and weekends elsewhere.
Oh, doing pharmacy work elsewhere as well. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Do like 12-hour Saturdays and Sundays, which I didn't like.
With a baby, with like a.
Well, no, I was pregnant. I was pregnant with Autumn then, and I was quite glad I got pregnant actually because I could resign from that place and I never went back. So Autumn, I was sick again. I had an idea I would be, so I was better prepared this time. Just took the medicines straight from the start every day, regardless. But I gained the same amount of weight, so I got to 80 kilos again, which probably didn't bother me as much the second time because I knew I could lose it. But I was diagnosed with placenta previa as well with her at the 20-week scan. So I was told I'd have to have a cesarean because it was the worst grade possible. But miraculously, it somehow moved, and they think they might have seen it, I don't know, from the wrong angle, or it was. My placenta was like a taco, they said. I don't know. So I didn't end up having a cesarean, but I was a bit stressed. Because they told me I could bleed, and I wasn't allowed to travel. I had to stay close by, pack my bags. And so in the end I got to my due date and I had to be induced again, and then I had another hemorrhage and fainted again, and it was lovely.
Then obviously you made the shift to
so when I was pregnant with her, I was considering I don't know how I found a lady on Facebook. And I'd started thinking about some classes because I just thought the pharmacy wanted me to work till 6 p.m, which doesn't really work with daycare. So I thought, oh, maybe I could start some fitness classes, and like if I stay working just one day at the pharmacy, I can do that on the side. Like if I do classes at 9:30, then I can have my kids there, and you know, that's what I like doing as well. So I started planning it when I was pregnant with Autumn, and I'd met a coach. I can't remember how I met her, somehow on Facebook, and sort of got set up, and then had Autumn, and that's when had Autumn in August, and started planning it like the end of the year. So when Autumn was born, then she was diagnosed with a clicky hip, so she had to be in a brace for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Sleep just went out the window. But
not to mention the stress, like extra stress.
So it's like
yeah.
appointments every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then, you know, x-rays and seeing the specialist as well. Lots of driving, and also Warwick got sick that year. I was pregnant. He got Guillain-Barré, so he was in hospital for a week, and then had 3 months off work, doing rehab. So I was kind of driving him around as well. And then I think we had something like I wrote it all down somewhere. Over 50 doctor's appointments that year, and 10 scans and 15 blood tests, and it was crazy. We reached the safety net really early that year. So we were glad when that was over. So I started the classes then in February of the next year, just started in my backyard. And then when it started, like got to April and it was a bit wet, we had to move, like find somewhere indoors. So found some church halls and used them for about a year. And then we found the place at Highgate. So,
and I just wrote that. So around, so because what year was that? That was 2000.
It was 2017.
I was just thinking about it earlier, and I was thinking around that time is, you know, there's a lot of like the big name corporate, you know, 45-minute places that came up. And did you see a gap in the market for what you wanted to do? You know what I mean? Because you've always said that you've never been a big fan of those.
Well, I didn't really like, I mean, I only used to go to Good Life just because it's nearby. I hated the fact I had to queue up to wait for equipment. So that's why I bought my own stuff. I don't know. I mean, I never really knew much about being a mum before I was a mum. I was probably terrible. My sister had kids 10 years before me, and I think I would have been a terrible aunt. I was the kind of person who said, oh, let's go out for lunch. And like, I didn't understand that kids had to sleep. So I apologise to her since. I had no idea till I had a child what it was like. I just wasn't really maternal at all. And probably didn't realise what it's like also for mums trying to get back into health and fitness until I had to do it. And what was around.
Because in terms of women's only gyms, I mean, there's a few around, but I feel like there definitely is more of a need for it, and you've got that nice little niche. So that's, that was the
one, like that one. I was there for 5 weeks. But I just didn't like the way it was run. And I kind of like it. Like obviously now people choose to come to us, but when I was at this gym, I just kind of get whoever. So I don't know, I just didn't, and maybe being at the pharmacy and being in charge, I just liked not working with someone.
Oh, very what else did I have here? Have the girls written any other questions?
No one's written anything.
Tina, Georgie.
Joined.
Oh, didn't she?
I don't know what happened. With maybe a connection.
Oh, so I think it was further up, but with your like nutrition, you ended up doing a nutrition course, and is that
so? Like I did the comp training, but that was quite rigid, and I was kind of stuck in that way after, which is not really helpful for everyday life. So and then I found this other lady on Facebook who I kind of started working for her. It was unpaid work. And she was a little bit extreme in her nutrition approach, but I did that for a while. It worked. And like, I stayed with her till I got pregnant. And basically when I got pregnant, she ditched me like a hot potato. Because I was too sick to do any of the work. And she was just like, oh, well, when can you come back? And I was like, well, I don't know. So that was probably good. I did learn a lot from her. And then, yeah, I have studied since then. I did that a few years ago now, precision nutrition. But it's pretty much, I've just bought other courses here and there.
Yeah.
Putting it all together. And then last year, I started tracking my macros, which has probably been the most flexible way I've learnt to deal with nutrition. Because previously, you know, I'd eat clean and I would not have anything with sugar. And, you know, almond butter was considered good, but obviously being a fat, you can't just eat a spoonful of it. And,
yeah,
you know, you still got to account for the portion size. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't eat takeout. I wouldn't go out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I was doing my comp training, my mum was not happy because I wouldn't eat the food she cooked, which you've got to get a balance of everything.
Yeah. And I love how you say it now, is, you know, you don't necessarily need to cut anything, like, but that's what a lot of people do. They go to that extreme, like, yeah, sugar, no carbs, no dairy or whatever. So like you've said, you found it the most flexible for you. Yeah, it's so that was more just from you, like, discovering what works for you and researching and things like that, as opposed to learning it from the course. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it, but it comes down to, well, you've got to be in a calorie deficit and but eating foods that you like still. Yeah. In saying that, like, when I started my comp training, like, the food that my coach gave me to eat, like, I hated some of it. Like, there was egg whites and oats with water for breakfast. That's all I had. And I used to gag on it. I hated it. And now I don't mind either of them. I wouldn't have oats with water. I think that's pretty boring. But yeah, I can remember adding, and it didn't tell my coach this, I added a tablespoon of milk to my oats so they taste a little bit better.
Clearly it didn't matter because you dropped 10 kilos.
I know. I can't remember what else. I had to eat cottage cheese, which isn't really that tasty. Cottage cheese and counting out your nuts. I could have 5 Brazil nuts and 5 almonds. Yeah, and then spears of asparagus. I was allowed 10 spears of asparagus with some meals. It was a bit crazy.
Oh wow. But with your eating now, like, I was chatting to, I think it was Nicole actually, who now comes here to the gym, and she was talking about how the way that you eat, like, way that she's been eating, she can feel she, like, is less foggy, and, like, in terms of, like, have you seen a correlation in eating well and mental health and things like that? Do you think that has a connection?
Definitely. And so like, before, you know, my before days, I think I said that in the other video, I used to have 3 bits of toast for breakfast and a glass of orange juice, which was all carbs and no protein. So I'd be hungry 2 hours later, like at 10 o'clock, and I'd want a cake or a muffin, which I'd have. And didn't feel the best. I just said, felt sluggish. And I probably couldn't understand why I couldn't lose the weight. And I've got a good friend who I'm still friends with. I went to school with her. She lives in Canada. Well, Bronte, she was in that.
Oh, yeah.
And
did all those steps the other day.
I should actually do one of these with her because she'd be interesting to talk to. She lost a lot of weight while we were at school. And then after school, she got into modeling, and she was really quite thin, but I couldn't understand why I couldn't do it like her. But I never asked her. Like, I should have just asked her, what do you do? You know, because she would have told me. But I just thought I had to eat less. So I'd go on these weird diets where I'd just eat an apple for like morning tea, or have saladas with a slice of cheese for lunch. because I thought that was healthy. I know. It was weird. And then, of course, like I could only do it for one day because I was so hungry. And then I just went on Domino's pizza and pat a cake.
Yeah.
So I kind of was stuck in that cycle as well. Because I live by myself. I mean, you've got no one to, not that people watch what you're eating, but you can eat whatever you want. And
but if you've got someone that says, like, oh, well, let's have something healthy tonight, like you kind of collectively support each other. But yeah.
And so, I just felt sluggish. I didn't drink a lot. I had phases where I drank, like uni I did, but then I had other phases where I wouldn't drink at all. So probably wasn't too much of that.
Yeah.
Later on, but yeah, I'm still good friends with Bronte, and she's put some weight on now. Doesn't do so much modelling, but we kind of keep each other accountable, even though she's over in Canada.
Yeah. Having that person that you can message. Have you got any ideas? Yeah.
And then like a few times in the pharmacies, I would get freebie packs of weight loss medicines, and I'd try them. Not a good idea. And of course they wouldn't work. You can't just take something for a week and think it's going to work. But when Xenical is a medicine that was prescription only, and then it came off prescription to pharmacist only. So that's Orlistat is the drug, and it's a lipase blocker or something. It blocks the absorption of fat. So that was all the rage when it came off prescription. Everyone was trying it. So you take it with a meal. I'm pretty sure it was with a meal or half an hour before, and it stops the fat being absorbed into your body, so it stays in your intestine and goes straight through. So it's pretty awful.
It's just like a laxative.
Guess what the side effects are? Like oily flatulence.
Oh, wow.
I bought this because I thought, this is going to help me.
Yeah.
It's supposed to kind of train you to eat healthier, because you wouldn't go and order KFC and take one of them, because you'd be literally like on the toilet. Like,
oh my God.
And this, I heard people like, they come into the pharmacy who'd got it, and they were like, they had to wear like, not even sanitary pads, like
diapers,
incontinence pads, because the oily stuff would just come out whenever, like you couldn't control it. And one lady said she was in a swimming class, and and I didn't take that very long.
No,
you can still get it, but I don't think anyone uses it. It's awful.
Yeah. So you have tried a lot of things, like in
and
your
then,
health.
Pharmacies sell those shakes that were all the rage, Betty Baxter and Tony Ferguson and whatever, the meal replacement shakes. So I tried them at various pharmacies I was at too, and they're most some of them are quite high in sugar, and they don't train you to eat healthier. They're saying they take them instead of a meal, but that's not teaching you anything. And I'd be so hungry, I'd then eat my normal food, and I just end up eating extra calories.
Yes.
So
yeah,
and most of them don't taste the best anyway.
No.
But I had to like counsel people on them. So at different pharmacies, I'd have to learn how to sell them, and I didn't really like that part, because like that was when I was training to be a PT, and I was just like, that's not.
Yeah. You come in and see people that aren't probably exercising, but they just want to use these.
And they cost a lot of money too.
Yeah.
So people are buying months worth. Hundreds of dollars on it, but very few people got results that lasted.
Yeah.
With it.
And for you now, obviously it's been a weird year, very strange year in terms of your, like, do you still give yourself like health and like goals and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
they kind of went out the window this year.
Yeah. What's that milky?
I don't know what you're doing. You want to be on the camera. Shouldn't be on the table, actually. Well, I mean, I had my 40th, I only just got that in this year in March before shutdown. And I was, so like when I started tracking my macros last year, I signed up with a coach, and I did a bulk until the end of the year to try and gain a bit of muscle.
Yeah.
So I was eating a slight excess. So I was gaining weight slightly. I think I got up to 61 kilos maybe. And then I started a cut in January because the aim was to get me down, get the fat off till my birthday. Well, then we're supposed to be going to LA in July. So I wanted to get down a bit further for that. And I got down to, I think, 58, 57, maybe 56 for my birthday. But I was so hungry. I didn't really, I hadn't eaten. I was like started at 1,700 calories, and then my coach put me down to 1,500, which I struggled with because I just wasn't used. I haven't eaten that little for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And then had my birthday, and then COVID hit, and I just threw it all out the window. As most
you had your birthday, but you didn't get to have your party, did you?
No, I didn't get the.
Yeah.
I missed out by a week or two.
Yeah.
So and I didn't track for most of COVID. So I've got a good idea of, like, I know to eat enough protein. I know how much I need with each meal. That's not a problem. But carbs and fats, it's quite easy to overestimate. You know, and the aim with tracking is not to track for the rest of your life. You don't want to. You want to learn. But it takes a while to learn how to eyeball portions regularly. You know, and I guess this year it was just stressful, so people weren't, so it was harder to adhere to.
Yeah, and the wine didn't help anyone.
So at the start of the year I was hardly drinking at all. And we'd got quite a collection here. And that all went during COVID. And still, like, I still kept exercising, but because we were doing the home workouts, it was a little bit different. And then, I've only just sort of got back into tracking properly in the last few weeks to get your shiz together.
Yeah. So is that part of your end of year goal? Do the challenge?
I mean, I wanted to have a photo shoot for my 40th, but I never had that because I had one booked for April, I think, and then it was cancelled because we were shut down. So I haven't had that. So I may try and squeeze one in next month. Depends which photographers are free and all that. And how I'm going.
That's it.
It's been a learning curve this year. I think, you know. Sometimes there's different priorities, so nutrition takes a little bit of a backseat. But then I'll learn if there's things now that I don't do that I would have previously, because I know they'll make me feel awful, like eating out a lot. It's just something I don't do. I don't eat out a lot now. You know, home cooked meals. And when I do eat out, I've certainly changed what I pick on a menu. I always used to order schnitzel and chips. I can say I'd never order that now. That's just, I'd feel sick if I ate that much. And even, you know, sometimes for our birthdays, we'll have waffles for breakfast with ice cream, and I pretty much feel sick the rest of the day.
Yeah, I remember, was that Ari's birthday that you said? I think you said.
It's just too rich. I'm not used to it.
So
I've changed in that way. And the other thing was, when I was at the pharmacy, I used to eat a lot of the chocolate there. I still love chocolate, but because we sold bars, and I'd eat them really early in the morning, like before 9 o'clock. It was just habit. Even though I'd have a good breakfast, I'd get there and I was the only one in the shop, so no one would see me. But like 8 in the morning. The only way I really stopped that was leaving. I'm sure I would have. Otherwise, it was expensive too.
But I love you said. I think you said it during the last challenge, is because the temptation was there, and you said when you're shopping, do not buy anything that will tempt you, because you will have it if it's in your house. Set yourself up for failure.
So we don't have much exciting stuff in our house. Although I buy some for the kids. Just don't eat their food.
I think those were pretty much all my questions, but was there anything that I missed about?
No, I think think
I think
that's yeah. So I guess like the reason like I wanted to do the bodybuilding because I like to look at the girls, and like when I signed up, my coach, she screens people because she can't have people with eating disorders doing comp.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
But I didn't tell her the real reason why I did it was because I just wanted to be skinny, because she wouldn't have taken me on if I'd said that. Because that's I just and it's not like I was ever really overweight, but I just wanted to be skinny like my friend, but I wanted to eat as well.
And now when you look at that and you think, because I think you were discussing in terms of muscle, and now do you look at, you know, like muscly girls and be like, oh, that's like I like, you know, that
Look
rather
better.
than just being thin and like, you know, but actually having muscle and, you know,
And
looking strong and
and I know the hard work that goes into it. It doesn't just take a year. Like it takes 10 to 15 years or whatever.
Yeah. Funny how it gets.
I liked doing the comps because I met other girls or ladies that all had like the same discipline.
Yes.
That's really what I liked about it. Meeting other people, though, I mean, there are some crazy people, but but I did meet some really nice girls, and I'm still friends with them now. We've all gone our own ways, but most of us still work in fitness of some kind. So I still stay in touch with my coach, which is good. She still coaches girls for comps, but I think she's got a bit of a different approach now. Not so extreme.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting. It's good. Yeah, very, because a lot of that I didn't know. So
so I mean, when I went into pharmacy, I never thought I'd leave that. I thought I'd stay in pharmacy till I retired, which I don't know if that's a bit crazy.
Could you ever see yourself going back?
No, well, I can't now because I've deregistered.
Right. Yeah.
I have to sit the exams again. Didn't happen. I've forgotten.
Yeah.
And I don't miss it at all, actually. Like, I can remember sitting on the couch one day. I think I'd had Aria, and I was like on a work day. I'd had my breakfast, and I was just dreading going to work. Like, hated it. I didn't want to go because I couldn't leave the shop because I was the only pharmacist and never got a lunch break. I just hated it. So.
And did you just feel like, like you were doing the same thing every day,
like Groundhog Day?
Yeah. Whereas you do find now with it's, you know, you can change it up every day. There's
I don't even feel like I'm working now.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, good.
But never thought I'd do that.
And as far as like the owning your own business, do you find even like the stress of being a business owner, but the fact that you love what you're doing, like it outweighs?
And it's a learning curve. It's always learning. I probably never thought I'd be a business owner. But after the partnership I had at the pharmacy, so there were 5 of us in the partnership. I'd never have a partnership again, ever. No. Learned that the hard way. And it took me
there's a lot to share with.
It took me years to get out of that partnership because the legal stuff took so long to get it all rewritten with every partner. There was so much signing to do. It was just like a headache. And in the end, because our registrations were due, I think, in September, October, and I just said to them, I'm not re-registering. You need to have it done by then because it's illegal to own a pharmacy if you're not a pharmacist. And I said, I haven't done my CPE points this year, so if they audit me, I'm in trouble. So I said, and I'm not re-registering, so you need to get it done. And they did get it done then. And I was a bit upset the day when it happened. It was just weird because that's all I'd ever had. And I think my parents never went to uni. So mum wanted me and my sister to go to uni. And like my sister did OT, but she doesn't work as an OT anymore. Because she moved overseas for 6 years, that lapsed. So ironically, we've both gone to uni and both left our degrees and got jobs in other areas, which
It's funny how a lot of people do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. Your work-life balance doing what you studied was not really, and obviously, and you didn't love it, but yeah, that's yeah, very interesting how life pans out, I guess.
It is. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That's probably about all, I think.
yeah. Very good.
Asking questions.
Yeah, that's right. Is Tina still there? I can't see on mine.
You can't see me.
No, I can't see Tina.
Oh,
Is
Tina. No, she went.
She went.
She left.
Yeah, no, that was good. Really good. I'll be logging on for whoever you get to do the nutrition one and that sort of thing as well. So.
Yeah. We'll work out a topic for next week.
Yeah. Cool.
See what's happening. All right. Well.
All right. Well, I'll see you in the morning.
See you in the morning. Okay. See ya.
See ya. Bye.